Game jams are hard. It's that time of year again where another Brackeys jam has arrived, and the theme is it is not real. Compared to other jams I've entered, it was a lot harder than the last GMTK jam or Ludum Dare jam, so this time round I have a restriction over my head. I only have 12 to 14 hours to complete it. That means I literally have 2 hours a day. I need to create something that's worth playing. I've dropped messages to a bunch of my friends trying to sort out the best ideas, and each person ended up in some area of dreams and fake tiles. So taking that approach wasn't really like me. I do enjoy games where the gameplay is difficult. You look at Super Meat Boy, you look at Jump King, and since there's some favorites of mine, I thought why not make something that is similar to this? With that in mind, I decided what better way to approach the theme than for making invisible blocks. And the gameplay will go something like this. A player has to make his way up the tower.
Oh god, it's so good.
Throughout the climb, he will encounter different types of obstacles and not real blocks that send you back down to the bottom. The idea sounds easy, right? Now, the first focus was getting my project up and running. I need to select what kind of packages are going to be most useful for my time frame. My final picks were Cinemachine, Device Simulator, Dootween, Easy Save, and Odin. Now, I need to think of a character. The character for Jump King is short, so I figured why not grab the old Game Jam character from my previous jam. The only issue is that he's missing limbs. He's sort of like Rayman. So I think I'll just pop him into Mixmo, and no, he apparently needs arms. Give him some noodles and chuck him back in. See, good as new. Just ignore him throwing his foot through his head. Now, I guess I'm gonna need some animations. Let's see a walk, run, jump, flip, and a twist. How does my player move? I look to Jump King for my inspiration, and he moves with a one movement, one power sort of thing. You charge up and he throws himself in that direction, so I kind of want to mimic that idea. So I whipped up some code and there he goes. They grow up so fast, except he isn't coming back down. We need to fix that. So with the addition of gravity, he now comes crashing back to the ground, ready to be lost in the air again. But after gravity comes wall bouncing, and to do this, I need to raycast ahead of the player. This is the fancy term for I'm going to send a single line forwards and it's going to tell me what I'm looking at. This is the same sort of thing they use for FPSs to know where you're shooting. So I need to raycast ahead of the player in the direction of travel. It will say, okay, I've hit the wall. Now tell me what point I hit the wall, what is the normal of it, and I need to flip it. This will give me the direction I will bounce in. Now, I need to start with something that allows me to make the most of the time that I have. And for this, I use whiteboxing. This is a fancy game development term for creating a level with no art or aesthetics, just literally a pure design choice. Now was the time to implement the player animations. With that, I got a jump and a flip, and the falling is just freezing the jump animation at the end, midway through the jump. Now, I'm a silly goose, and I completely forgot to make a proper build from the beginning. Make your build almost when you make big changes, as it allows you to make sure that you don't have problems further down the line. I got my build onto Android, and it didn't quite work. The issue is that Unity and mobile games don't always agree, so I have moments where the engine is fine, but when I make a build, it all explodes in my face, and this requires time I don't have to fix it. For camera movement, I looked towards Jump King again for inspiration, but this time it came with a couple design choices. Do I have a camera that follows the player gradually as I climb, or do I make levels with a height requirement that flips over like Jump King does? With levels done, I need visuals. I need to know what's going on. Let's start off with the player. How do you know where you're jumping? Well, I decided to indicate where you're traveling. So I hopped into some 3D model software and I just made a simple arrow, exported it and popped into Unity. It rotates, but not quite in the direction that I want. And as you can see here, it's not particularly great. Now for the arrow, I scaled the length based on how far you pulled the joystick, just so you had a bit more visual information. I created a simple pause menu just so we have something to work with. It has a play, menu, and exit. Now, once you climb up the tower, I wanted more features to be introduced, and sadly, the first and only one I got to implement with this was the double jump. This allowed players to jump again in midair with time slowed down to give that little bit of extra time to decide if you're going to fall to your death or not. Now, for the bit I overestimated, saving. I did not realize just how much work was going to go into this, and I really shouldn't have added this. I spent the next 2 hours incorporating an entire save and load solution that could keep track of multiple save files. I also wanted it to include statistics like how many jumps, how far in the game have you been crying for? You know, nice simple statistics. But with the basic concept for this kind of all ironed out and sorted, I needed a main menu. I created a simple moody scene for my character in the middle. Then I added some spark particles just to kind of give the scene a little bit more oomph. With those 2 painful hours gone, the end was closing in. I had to keep taking breaks and this really didn't help. My next step was grabbing some Cinti Studio packs and I got the one called Mini Adventure. I started figuring out what kind of look I wanted to go for. Now, I'm no level designer, and in terms of visually designing, this was a real struggle, but I got through it, and this is what I got. It's a simple look, but it got the point across for the game and the time frame I had. And that's it. Those were my 12 hours of development time. I initially set out to do 14, but I just couldn't invest more time. And I'm super proud of how much I managed to get done in such a short period. If you happen to have any ideas that you want to share that you think would be cool, don't forget to comment down below and you might just find yourself featured in a future video. So thanks for sticking around for the whole video. The first video is always the hardest, and I appreciate you coming along for my journey. Don't forget to like if you liked it or subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Catch you later.